And now for our feature presentation.
You're listening to the JB and Goldwater Show. Live, loud, and online.
Puts it up. Whoa! There goes Davis. Oh my God! Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. American Soul is finally the one. American Soul has won the Triple Crown. And Bonds hit play high. It's a dig. It is out of here. High fly ball into right field. She is gone. Unbelievable! A home run for Gibson, and the Tigers have won the game 5-4. I don't believe what I just saw.
Here are your hosts, Jamie Bradford and Darren Goldwater.
Welcome to the weekend. Just about. We're going on the boat in like 3 hours, so it kind of feels like it is the weekend. It is your Friday edition of JB and Goldwater live, loud, and online. If you're listening on the Podbean app, certainly appreciate that. If you are watching us anywhere in the world via, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, wherever you might be, we appreciate that as well. We have a loaded show for you today, and we also have a special guest in for Jamie Bradford, the lovely and talented Ryan Nelson. How are you?
It's weird to be in here now when there's a camera on top of us.
Yeah.
Because last time I came out, I think in pajamas.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I don't miss those days of trying to dress up and get makeup for TV nowadays.
Yeah, this isn't as high tech of a camera, so the makeup's not perfect.
Well,
you
neither
still
are some
look
of those
beautiful.
reporters out there. You see some of them, bless their hearts, they're in their kitchen, full makeup. I mean, I couldn't imagine doing what they're doing right now.
Well, whatever you do, you'd look beautiful. Obviously, Ryan Nelson is my wife, or else my wife would be coming in here very angry that I'm telling someone that they're especially beautiful over and over again. We've got a lot to get to today. At 12:30, we will talk with our guy out in Vegas, Rafael Esparza. He is our Vegas insider from mybookie.ag. At 1 o'clock, we'll be talking with Bob Moran, who is the tournament director and the I believe, president of Volvo Car Open, but they have a new event in town next week, and it is the return to tennis in, potentially the world, certainly here in the United States. It's a pretty unique 16-player, two-team event without fans put on by the Tennis Channel, but it'll be at the Volvo Car Open Stadium on Daniel Island. So we'll talk to Bob Moran about that at 1. At 1:30, we've got Dean Stevens coming up, a good friend of both of ours, who is the main anchor for ABC News 4 here in Charleston, and I have no idea what we'll get into with him, but I'm sure
it could last the rest of the time.
It could go around.
I don't mind. We talked 30 minutes last time.
Well, yeah, easily. It's not hard to talk to Dean, just like it's really not hard to talk to you.
Oh, aren't you nice, Mr. Nelson?
Yeah, Mr. Nelson.
That is a fun story, folks. We've been married a long time. We just celebrated how many years?
12 years on Sunday.
Married.
And there was our first vet was first your vet. So when
Dr. Mike.
Yes, Dr. Mike. And he used to be on the radio here in Charleston and is a big Minnesota Golden Gopher fan because he went to vet school there. That's a side note. But we would go and take Fletcher there, our dog 2 or 3 dogs ago. And the ladies at the front, they knew Ryan better than they knew me because they've known her for years. So oftentimes I was Mr. Nelson. Many times.
Mm-hmm. And once I left TV, thank goodness, I think a lot of that went away because we go to places and people, Mr. Nelson, I'm like, nah, sorry.
Yeah, I just learned to kind of sit back and accept it and understand that that's just the way it's going to be.
Now you're in the limelight, honey.
Yes, right. Want to get to one thing right off the top here today, because around the country there are a lot of places that are taking the day off. In fact, the NCAA offices in Indianapolis are closed today in observance of Juneteenth. And Juneteenth, I'm not afraid to just say it like this. You explain what it is. It's the anniversary of the emancipation of the slaves. When Texas got the word that all slaves are now free, it came on June 19th. And I want you to be honest here. When did you first hear about June 19th and Juneteenth?
When I was at Channel 4, so I've been gone 10 years. My show lasted for 5.5 or 6, and we always had someone on the air doing interviews with us about Juneteenth. So it's something that we have known about, and the news does stuff here locally. Now, do they cover it enough? Obviously not. No one does, because if people say they don't know, or someone just made it popular, we really, really need to take some time to. If you go on Twitter, the Roots, you know who the Roots are.
Yep.
They did this awesome Schoolhouse Rock kind of 30-second song. You remember Schoolhouse Rock?
Oh, yeah.
And it's about Juneteenth. So, there's a lot of different ways, and there's celebrations across the country going on right now.
So I'll be honest. I did not know about Juneteenth until probably just a couple of weeks ago.
Really?
Really. Obviously, I know about Abraham Lincoln, and I know about the Emancipation Proclamation, and I know about the freeing of the slaves. I get that part. But oftentimes, I think this was not taught in schools. And if it was...
Definitely not when I was a kid.
No, and if it was, I missed it. I grew up in the D.C. area. Ryan is from here. She went to Somerville High School and then the College of Charleston. And, I've seen on Twitter and Facebook and various places that I'm not alone in this. There are a lot of people who are just now learning about Juneteenth. And that's okay, because that's all part of this process that we're engulfed in right now, in terms of educating yourself and learning about the history and learning about how that relates to where we are today. And there are plenty of people that are just like me and haven't heard about it, and very outspoken voices answering, saying, look, exactly what I just said. That's okay, because that's where we are as a society today. It's important to realize this, learn about this, and then teach it moving forward. You were showing our daughter Grayson. I came downstairs when I was setting up for the show, and you were playing a kid's video.
That's the Roots. If you go on Twitter, it's the Roots. Actually, on Facebook, I think it's where it was.
Okay.
The Roots is also, they're a wonderful band. They also are the house band for Jimmy Fallon. But they did a Schoolhouse Rock, which is a cartoonist to try to explain to children so they could understand as much. And then we started talking to Grayson about it, and you know what she said? She goes, actually, we learned about this in first grade.
Right. She did not know about Juneteenth individually, but they had learned, and when we were explaining it to her, she said, yeah, Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, so that's stuff. Job Mrs. Jones, if you're watching and listening, the first grade teacher for our daughter Grayson. On Juneteenth now, which is today, there is news coming out of the SEC. If you remember, not long ago, and we're going to go into this because Ryan has some very personal remembrances of where I'm going with this. But the SEC yesterday said if Mississippi doesn't take the Confederate logo out of its flag, they cannot host any postseason events. This is what South Carolina was dealing with for a long time. And for Mississippi, it's similar to South Carolina. When South Carolina was going through this, I think Dawn Staley had just begun to get the women's basketball team rolling. So it's not like we were having postseason basketball tournaments here very often in the state. But from a baseball standpoint, it's very, very significant. Ole Miss, Mississippi State are two excellent national baseball programs year in and year out. And if the flag does not change, they cannot host regionals or super regionals en route to the College World Series, those and any other postseason events. The NCAA jumped on board today, not long ago, in fact, just a couple of minutes ago. And the NCAA backed up the SEC. They changed their language, which I think was worded at South Carolina to include any state, basically saying any state that still has that symbol in its flag, if that flag is flying, we will not come and play any postseason events. And Mississippi is the last of the states, the 50, that have that logo in their flag right now. And if you're watching online,
and we
you
never
can
had
see
it
I
a
did put it
logo
up.
in the South Carolina flag and the Palmetto State flag.
We had the flag flying on the state grounds.
The State House, correct. I just was verifying that, or
Right.
clarifying that.
So when we had the flag flying on the State House grounds, there was a big push to move that flag. And it wasn't just because of the NCAA.
No.
It was a push locally within the state. The NCAA kind of jumped on board and said, look, if you guys don't get this done, then there won't be postseason events. And it took a while. This state can take
Dig their
some
heels
time.
in. Yes.
It can happen that way. But then Ryan was kind of called upon to be a part of the group that
After the Emmanuel 9.
after the Emmanuel
Tragedy.
9. Okay, so I'll let you take us through this because I didn't remember exactly when it was, but I remember when you were asked to be a part of a group heading the effort to take down the Confederate flag from the State House grounds.
I was called as a media consultant and the PR person for it. They called me and said, hey, it was after the Emmanuel 9, and you think of that every day. And hats off to Chris Singleton. We were with Everett's daughter yesterday, and she was telling me what an amazing man he's been to her too. Anyway, for the forgiveness that he's done. Anyway, so 5 years ago, when that happened, the next day we got the call about the Confederate flag, and they said, "Are you willing to work with us on this? You may get death threats." And I said, "Yeah, I am. Of course." I said, because my daughter and my friends and everyone, we need to move forward. Just like with anything that we're doing, this is an awakening. Maybe you didn't know about Juneteenth. A lot of people have learned about Columbus Day. I'll leave that for a later date. But those kind of things you're learning about, and then you need to open your hearts and your minds. Because the history book I read, which was South Carolina history when second grade, it was a book. And that's that big, and I remember what it looked like. And I guarantee if we read it today, it would be frightening.
What frightening in the sense of how
It's probably very biased and very. I went Newington Elementary in Somerville, and yeah, I mean, just I think back of some of the things we were taught just about indigo, rice, and instead, not realizing the amount of people in this area that made it what it is. They do not get any kind of credit whatsoever. So I'm a big believer that it's time to come together. Let's stop all of it.
Yeah.
Let's just stop and accept people and love people for who they are.
Yeah, there's no question about that, and that's obviously the movement that we're seeing throughout the country right now. And I would be shocked if Mississippi does not have an answer soon. Ole Miss and Mississippi State have already both come out and said they support what the SEC is saying, and now the NCAA has jumped on board as well. So
it probably was something that should have been done a while back. Long time.
Years ago. It's the only state, again, that still has this logo in its flag. I'll take it off the screen now. It's been on there long enough. But it's the only state that still has it in its flag. So it certainly should have happened a long time ago. Ole Miss and Mississippi State, the two most prominent institutions in the state of Mississippi, have already issued statements today in support of removing that imagery from the Mississippi flag. And then the next issue is going to be Ole Miss, they're the rebels. That's probably not going to last very long either.
Well, I mean, and if this takes the time, like I was saying about Columbus Day, I lived in Colorado after college, and Columbus Day was not a day that you celebrated. Mm-hmm. Because there's a lot of indigenous folks and traditions that Columbus stomped on.
Yes.
And did take credit for things that he probably didn't sail in 1492 to do. But I learned a lot being in Colorado and learning about how all these holidays, yes, they're great. Some people, get a day off, but it's more about the underlying knowledge of what it really is about, in my opinion.
There you go.
And then we did take down the Confederate flag, and I remember sitting there testing the mic for all the big networks. Steve Osen saw me. He's my favorite in ABC News. And I just sat there. I was like so nervous. People from BBC and all that. And just to see all of the press sitting there waiting for this. And then when it happened, I got chills. And then I was at the, so weird. I left, and a little boy came up to me and brought me 2 palmetto roses. I don't know if you know what those are, but they're the little roses they sell at the market. And the little boy just came up.
Okay, yeah. Like the sweetgrass basket.
Yeah,
okay.
the palmetto rose. So, and it goes in line with Post and Courier did a cover that Luke Reisner did. That was every palmetto rose was the name of someone who lost it in Emmanuel 9. So it has a lot of significance.
Yeah, no question. And this has been a powerful week if you're just here in the Charleston area. It's Juneteenth today. Yesterday was the 13-year anniversary of the Charleston 9, the firefighters who lost their lives battling the Sofa Superstore. And then the day prior was the anniversary of what Ryan is talking about there.
Emmanuel 9.
The Emmanuel 9. We have some news nuggets to get to, so we will...
News nuggets. Where did that come from?
News
Look
nuggets.
at him trying to be all cool now.
Yeah. That's a pretty standard term,
I worked in news. I never said that.
Well, it's
We'll
not.
ask
That's more,
Dean about
that's
that
more of
one.
a you problem, I think.
My news nuggets coming up next, folks.
So some of the things relevant around here. South Carolina has put out a budget for the upcoming season. Ray Tanner just did this, I think it was a conference call, probably a Zoom conference call just a little while ago before the show started. They are expecting $127 million in revenue this year and $114 million in expenses. So they would net out $13 million. Ray Tanner was very quick to say, we're very willing and able and ready to pivot if the situation merits in terms of the budget and the revenue and the projections, because really nobody knows exactly how this is all going to play out right now. But as of now, this is where the budget stands. And I thought it was also interesting. Last year, ticket revenue, not just football, but overall ticket revenue for the University of South Carolina was $20.1 million in revenue. This year, they're projecting 19.5. So
wow, that's it. That half. I mean, what is that? 1.5 drop?
Yeah, $600,000 drop.
Sorry, my math is not good.
Yeah.
But.
So, 20.1. Yeah, so about $1.5 million. I think, yeah, you were actually correct there. About a $1.5 million drop. But again, that's not a major significant drop, I wouldn't think. But it could be much more significant than that, depending on how many people are in fact allowed inside the stadiums, inside of the arenas, when sports actually do get going, if sports actually get going. But it is at least of note that South Carolina is planning, just like every school is, to move ahead full go, and this is their plan with the budget and their revenue projections,
right?
We should say.
I wonder if, I know you don't get live calls all the time, or if people comment, but I wonder what people think. Would you go to a Carolina game, South Carolina game, whatever you want to call it? I always call it Carolina, then my UNC friends get mad. But so would you go this year to a Carolina game?
You know, we haven't asked for a ton of calls recently, and that's probably one of the main reasons. But the topics come up, and would I feel comfortable going to a crowded stadium right now? No, not at all.
We talked a little bit about this last time. You're a little bit more different about this than I am.
Well, I wouldn't feel comfortable going to any place that is absolutely packed right now, even if it's an outdoor area like Williams-Brice Stadium or Death Valley. I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that right now. Could it change in 2 months? Sure, it absolutely could change in 2 months. But seeing what's happening here in Charleston, and not just Charleston, but the state in particular. I mean, the state is worse off than Charleston in general, although Charleston is starting to catch up. I mean, you walk around, there's very few people wearing masks. There's very few precautions other than, hey, let's wash our hands and use hand sanitizer. There's very few
There's
things.
social distancing. A lot of the restaurants are doing that.
They're doing their best.
Right?
They're
but
doing their
also
best.
when you have groups of people protesting, which listen, we all know I'm all about, you do your thing. It's close, a lot of the people who are covering it are close to these people, close to protesters, not these people. I mean, close to anyone who may have it. And we all are close, and we've been trying to stay home as much as possible.
Yeah, for a long time now.
But also, if you've had this conversation with family members, a lot of people I have too, we think Darren may have had it in February.
It's possible. I mean, there was, a nasty cold going around at one point early on in the year. I have not been tested. I don't know if I had it. I was pretty darn sick, but it only lasted a couple days. So if it was, in fact, that, I'm fortunate because it wasn't.
A couple days, it was like 8, 10.
It was really only 3 that I was really sick. But it was the first time in
ever you've called in sick for a game.
Yeah, I can't recall the last time I missed a game because I was sick.
And his analyst.
Yeah, yeah. And so I missed 2. In fact, I missed 2 games, and the It's the only time I've ever called out of a game because I was sick. There have been 2 instances calling out because I'll stay back for a hurricane. But that's it. But anyway, we don't know. It's possible I had it. And
We'll get it. We
it's
need to get
possible,
the antibody test.
Right. But even then, we're not going to sit here and pretend to be doctors.
No, heck no.
There's no proof that if you had it and recovered from it, that you were immune to it. There's no proof of that. Some more news out of the SEC. This makes a lot of college reporters happy. Football, those around the SEC, those around college football in general. I did not know Ed Askoff. He, if you remember, at 34 years old, passed away last year because of pneumonia, but there were underlying issues that nobody knew about that were then uncovered during the autopsy, which helped explain why this fit 34-year-old could have passed away because of pneumonia. It was not COVID-related, but he is widely loved. I have never heard a bad thing about Ed Askoff. In fact, Heather Dinich put on Twitter today after this announcement that the announcement both makes her smile and cry at the same time. The SEC has announced a new internship in Ed Askoff's name. It'll be a digital communications internship to help further his memory and where he succeeded most. In fact, Greg Sankey's statement was, "We will long remember Ed for his infectious smile, his tireless work ethic, for being a superior journalist, but even a better person." So the Florida alumnus and the ESPN college football reporter, who was, again, widely regarded as one of the best and one of the nicest guys on the beat, passed away, and the SEC will keep that name going now for the foreseeable future.
And then to have that title as nicest on the beat, you work with all these people all the time, cramped locations, all different places. Reminds me of how Ken Berger was always really nice.
Yeah. Ken was great.
Yeah. And so when you would go through, and those were the things people would always have a story. And I asked Darren this the other day. This is kind of off topic, but I said, what did they say? Something about he was a kind and caring or something. I was like, well, they're not going to call me that, Darren. And he's like, well.
You have a big heart.
I do. But how would you describe, I mean, when you're gone, you won't know what people are saying. Are you kind and caring? Are you thoughtful? Are you bitchy? Are you, things like that. So, and I think,
Things to think about on a daily basis.
I'm just saying there are people I know alive right now that I find kind and caring, and I think that's a great description.
This show's going to get me in trouble today, isn't it?
Why? No. People also don't mind hearing a female voice. Am I right, folks?
No, not at all. A female voice is outstanding, especially on sports radio. It's great. It's refreshing, especially when you can know what you're talking about at the same time, which obviously you do. Otherwise, you wouldn't be sitting here. Alabama and Ohio State have announced they play a home-and-home series, football 2027, 2028. So there's a lot of complaints about Alabama not able or willing to schedule very many non-conference powerful opponents. They have now. So 2027 and 28, Ohio State is on Alabama's schedule. That is certainly interesting. And one other news note that I'll just get off off the top here. Albert Pujols, who, look, if you're a baseball fan, you know Albert Pujols out there with the Anaheim Angels. And while baseball players have been trying to get their fair shake in these negotiations, Pujols has very quietly, but it has been uncovered, he's been paying the entire salary of the Dominican team that isn't making any money right now. So it's about $180,000 that Albert Pujols is personally funding for the Dominican team. So
I think that's fabulous. I think I guess what they say is sometimes when you're blessed or whatever the word is, I think there's some kind of quote like give back to those who, need it. Mm-hmm. I mean, to him, I don't know his annual contract salary, any of that.
Big.
But $180,000 isn't, and he probably will do it again next year. You never know.
Mm-hmm. Yep. If you're listening to us on the Podbean app, we appreciate it. You can give us a call if you're listening on the Podbean app. There is that just, call button right there. You can also drop us a message in the Podbean chat room or on Facebook or on Twitter. We'll do our best to get back to you there. Coming up at 12:30, so shortly, we'll have Rafael Esparza out in Vegas. He has put out odds for the MLB season, and I wonder if they've been updated. I got these odds yesterday. In fact, we used them and talked about them on the show yesterday. There are odds about whether the season will be played, how many games will be played, and we're talking regular season, and then also whether or not there will be a World Series, because certainly if you get out on the field and you play, that's great, but are you actually going to make it all the way to the World Series? So
I read something about there's going to be a DH the whole time.
Yeah. Sore subject. Yes. So the days of the designated hitter are probably, or I guess the days of the pitcher batting are probably gone. You
Right.
probably have witnessed the last pitcher batting, and it was, this will be a fun trivia game down the road, and probably most people don't know, but the last pitcher batting was Garrett Cole of the Astros against the Nationals in the World Series, and Sean Doolittle struck him out.
Nice.
So that is the last pitcher who
I
batted.
only say nice because Darren likes the Nationals, folks.
Obviously.
But that's, I mean,
This shirt, there you go. That's a World Series championship shirt if you're watching. So, but part of this deal, and this has been long expected, whether or not the pandemic hit, whether or not there was these labor negotiations right now, it was widely anticipated that the designated hitter was going to be universally adopted by the National League, as it already is in the American League. And I'm not a fan of that. I've always been a National League guy. Growing up, the Orioles were the only game in town for me in D.C., and I would go to Orioles games and like the Orioles, but I adopted the Pirates as my team because I wanted a National League team. So I've been a National League guy forever because if you play baseball, you should hit. The pitcher should hit. It makes managing the game harder. It makes it more interesting to watch. There are a million reasons why I like the pitcher hitting. My opinion is not going to matter. There are a lot of people who side with me on this. Jamie is one of them, but it's likely going away, and it is likely going away to stay, which is unfortunate. But
wow. Nick Case is listening to us, and he was saying, does anyone remember Major League Baseball? That's what he tweeted earlier.
yes.
I said, you sound like Darren, and it's true because
I
mean,
remember
I don't think
Major
we've ever
League
gone this
Baseball.
long without having sports on every television or something in our house.
No, because the summer for play-by-play guys is a slower time. So it's great when I've got baseball to watch every single day.
And to listen to when he cuts the lawn.
Sure, whatever. The baseball on the radio is classic, but it's brutal. And there's a guy in Philadelphia, a columnist for the Inquirer, who I respect a lot. I have met him once, and he's a good guy. He's put out a ton of good pieces, including one tracking down some of Kobe Bryant's former high school teammates not long after Kobe was killed in the helicopter crash. And if you didn't see that article, absolutely go back and find it. His name's Mike Sealski. He put out a piece today saying, I don't miss baseball. I'm not sorry about it. And I lost my love for the game a while ago, and I still have no love for the game. I didn't read the entire piece. I do not side with that opinion. But Mike is a great writer, and there are too many people now leaning over to that side as these negotiations fight their way through.
Well, you got to tell us online, folks, if you are ready for something to come back or not.
Oh, we're all ready for something to come back. My goodness.
I just got a text that says, when does Darren cut the lawn?
He used to cut it more. JB and Goldwater, Ryan Nelson, who has been cutting the lawn more recently, is sitting in for JB today. We're going to head out to Vegas, talk with Rafael Esparza, our Vegas insider from mybookie.ag, as we roll along on this Friday.
DB's Cheesesteaks, the tastiest, juiciest, and now award-winning cheesesteaks in the Low Country. DB's Cheesesteaks delivers, and not just in quality. Download DoorDash, Uber Eats, or your delivery app of choice and have it dropped off at your doorstep. Original chicken, buffalo chicken, even pizza cheesesteaks, not to mention incredible cheeseburgers, massive hot dogs, and dynamite hoagies. It's all there for you and your family. DB's Cheesesteaks in West Ashley. dbscheesesteaks.com.
What's up, guys? It's JB. Obviously, things have been kind of crazy with the coronavirus taking over our lives. We're stuck inside with family, finding ways to be creative and probably tapping the liquor cabinet a little bit. If you don't have Patrick Davis's Whiskey Jam in yours, put on your mask and gloves and head to Bottles or Burris liquor stores here in Charleston. The Blackberry is my personal favorite on the rocks, but the original Whiskey Jam is Patrick's. So either way, you're winning with Whiskey Jam. WhiskeyJam.com, PatrickDavis.com.
Honey Baked Ham in Somerville and in Mount Pleasant is your home for catering and lunch. Honey Baked Somerville, owned by former Gamecock right-hander Mike Cisco, is just off the interstate and they are ready to cater to your next business or family meal. Plus, drop in for an incredible sandwiches daily for lunch. The Mount Pleasant location is at the foot of the Ravenel Bridge and always ready to serve and cater to your next meals as well. Plus, delivery is available. Honeybake.com to find your menu today.
As businesses start to open up around South Carolina, we have Brian Nelson back in here to tell us about Dog and Duck Family Pubs, the 3 locations, and some new hours going on. What's up?
That's right. We now offer indoor dining and patio seating outside. The new hours are Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., and then Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. now. Slowly getting back into the normal routine, or so what we think, and we hope everybody comes out and supports local businesses like Dog and Duck.
And you still have family special meals as well?
That's right. Always the family style meals, and you can always get curbside pickup or carry out. If you're not ready to venture outside yet, we're here for you.
The JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online.
I'm gonna keep on the run. I'm gonna have me some fun. If it costs me my very last dime, if I wind up broke, well, I'll always remember that I had a swinging time. I'm gonna get rid of everything.
Welcome back. The usual slot for Rafael Esparza, our main guy from mybookie.ag. Before we bring on Rafael, my wife Ryan Nelson is sitting in for Jamie Bradford today. And when you hear that song, what do you think of?
Elvis?
Okay, sure. How about Sheriff Callie's Wild West?
No.
It's ingrained in my head from that stupid show that our daughter watched over and over and over again. Let's bring in Rafael Esparza now. Rafael is joining us from out in Las Vegas, and we appreciate your time, man. How's everything going out there in Vegas today?
It's doing well. I'm glad the studio looks better looking today for you guys. So that's a good plus.
Yeah, look at you. Already making yourself, welcome by the wife. That's a good move.
Well, shout out to certain people that just looked at it and gave in some input. There's nothing wrong with giving input.
Oh, absolutely.
So thanks to Wes and some other folks.
Yes, we've had some help in getting the studio looking good. What is hot right now on mybookie.ag?
Besides the weather, I mean, it's I think Major League Baseball prop bets, because who knows what's going to happen in Major League Baseball right now. I put that prop bet. You can bet will they play 51 or 65 games minus 160. And people jumped all over that, but then all of a sudden the 70-game proposal came in the other day. So then I was at plus 350, now 3-1. It's just crazy. I mean, boys, Major League Baseball looks horribly, horribly bad right now. I don't even think a season could probably save what has let them dirty their laundry all through social media. Major League Baseball needs a divorce lawyer or a family counsel. They don't need arbitrated anymore. They need a divorce lawyer or some family counseling.
Has the odds changed? Have they changed? Because we put them up yesterday about the season and where, how many games might be played, whether there'll be a regular season, whether there'll be a postseason. And with the back and forth yesterday, did those numbers change?
The World Series did. The no got hits pretty hard. I think people are starting to realize now that, even if they do play a Major League Baseball, we may not even see a World Series if COVID spike cases go up. They might have to cancel the season or whatever. So a lot of people bet on that. Not that both good 50 action on will there be a MLB regular season. It's still, yes, $3, no, $2, but really, really good 50 action on both sides.
One of the things I really liked in looking at the initial odds yesterday, the plus 350 for 66 games or above, because the owners have proposed 60, the players want 70. The best proposal that I've seen is actually for 66 games. It seems like from a investment standpoint, that seems like a pretty good risk.
Yeah, I think if they want to play 65 to 70 games, they need to sign something by Monday so they can have spring training in less than 10 days. I don't see that happening because, again, they need Judge Judy, they need Joe Brown, they need somebody to fix this mess that they have right now.
Let's talk a little bit of golf, because that's I guess we can call it our backyard. Hilton Head, South Carolina, the RBC Heritage. Jordan Spieth got off to another good start. There is a young guy from the University of South Carolina, Neesmith, who got off to a good start. What prop bets do you like right now with the golf?
Well, I'm giving the middle finger to Webb Simpson right now because I had him last week in some head-to-head matchups, and I thought I Bart Simpson instead of Webb Simpson the way he played that bad because he didn't even make the cut last week, and now he's leading, shooting I think he's at 12 right now, shot a 65 today, was very impressive. So, yeah, I think this is what we're going to see golf all season long because some of these college golfers are probably going to have really, really good tournaments because they're used to playing with no crowds. They're used to playing in these kind of courses. So we're going to see some really, really weird outcomes on this one. It's going to be interesting to see what happens through Saturday and Sunday. 'Cause let's face it, Saturday and Sunday is when the best golf is actually being played. But I'm still blown away that Webb Simpson, he knew I had action on him. I think he's just doing it on purpose.
Always. I mean, every guy always knows. And if they miss a putt or something, it's personal.
And it must be odd down there in Hilton Head because that's a big event here for our state.
Huge.
And it must. And for some of those folks out there, the golfers, I don't like noise when I play golf.
Well,
but
they don't either.
Stink at it, so it's fine. But what he was saying is like some of the kids, the college kids, they're used to not having anyone around.
That's
so
true.
They could focus better.
Some of the younger guys have been playing really well. What else in the world of? Oh, first of all, let me go back to cornhole because I had Jeff McCarriger filling in, who is the international voice of cornhole. He was here on Tuesday and Wednesday. And we talked about you, and we talked about mybookie.ag, and he said it is in the lap of the league now. He has passed on the information, and now it is in the lap of the league whether or not we can get some cornhole lines. Because, look, it's a popular sport, and it would only benefit them if we can hook them up with you.
Yeah, why not? I mean, I just did probably 50 to 60 betting prop bets for Shark Week for OSHA. And stuff like that. So if I can do stuff like that, I think I can probably do cornhole wagering.
Wait a second.
I love this idea now.
What odds for Shark Week? Are we talking like how many people get eaten? What are the odds here?
No, one of the specials they're doing for Shark Week is that they're tagging great whites to see where they're mating at. So we put odds on where would they be pinged at for their mating and stuff like that. So
for like O-Search,
it was a lot of work done.
For O-Search, the company, remember the O-Search, they're the one that tags the great whites off the coast. Let
me tell you, Raphael, right here off the coast of South Carolina is a good bet. They've been pinging around here for, the better part of the last few months, and some of them are getting pretty close.
So I see. I should have called you guys. I would have had inside information.
Yeah, right?
See, next time you want to know about tagging sharks and where they're popping up.
They just had a report in North Carolina of a shark attack. It just came up early on Twitter.
Great white?
I don't know. The guy still had his leg, so I gather not.
Rafael Esparza, if you're just listening to us on the Podbean app and not watching us live here on either Facebook or Twitter or anywhere. Yeah, Raphael says hi. So if you are in fact watching, then you just got that nice hi from Raphael. He's with mybookie.ag. Tell them what they can get right now if they sign up for mybookie.ag.
Still get that 50% sign-up bonus, and let's face it, sports are coming in. It seems like new sports are coming in. We got English Premier League season started on over the week. Had some great action with Premier League. Who would have thought Aston Villa would have had $100,000 worth of action? They've never had that much action in the Premier League, but there was their first match. We got the MLS. I cannot wait for MLS Soccer to do their World Cup format. I'm putting up group odds sometime today for the MLS WNBA format, ready to go, 22 games plus their playoff. Oh, wait a minute. WNBA season's going to start. MLS is going to start. What's baseball doing? Nothing. That's what baseball's doing. Nothing.
Judge Judy, please.
Rafa,
we got to get her in here.
You should follow Raphael on Twitter.
I'm trying to.
It's VSI Doc Sports. And here's why. Because A, he's a funny follow. B, he's going to throw out, his picks for you.
Just did it.
C, if you tweet at him, he's probably going to answer you. And he's done it for me a couple of times. And you've been all over this. I mean, you've been tweeting out almost daily, positive signs for this league, that league, and the other, and then these angry faces for Major League Baseball. The word in Vegas now that you're hearing has to be that sooner or later they will get on the field, correct?
Yeah, I think they're going to get on the field. And I've been preaching this. I want the replacement players part 2 to happen up. I want minor league baseball players to be playing on these stadiums so we can finally watch some baseball instead of these people who are complaining about don't want to play this amount of games. Well, we will see. I don't think baseball is going to shoot themselves that bad in the foot, but if they do, boy, we're gonna need another steroid era where Bryce Harper and Trout are going to be juiced up hitting home runs for 2022.
That's what we need. Another steroid era in baseball so that we can go round and round on that again.
Let's not. But I agree with the fact that let's bring in the youngsters to go out and play. We'll all watch it, you know?
Look, if there's baseball, I'm going to watch it.
Right.
If there's baseball, I would prefer to watch the pros play. Well, even the minor leaguers are pros. But I'd prefer to watch the big leaguers play. Who knows, though? I mean, really, who knows? What are the
my Chicago Cubs haven't lost a game yet this year, so I'm pretty happy.
The Nationals are still the world champs.
There you go.
One of the longest reigns of all time.
Back to back if you don't play this year.
I guess we can call it that. I mean, it's at least a 2-year reign. How about that? I don't know back to back, but at least for 2 years they're champs.
I guess so.
How about you said last time that you're taking pinball action? Is it like virtual pinball? Is it actual people playing pinball? Where are you watching pinball to even take action?
We can do a live shot.
Pinball's really big in up in Europe. Ireland's really big, so there's some really big tournaments for pinball. I don't think there's not that much tournaments going on this week for pinball. I know there's some really. We just put up some odds for the World Chess Championship. Yes, you can bet on the World Chess Championship. Who's anyone going to beat Magnus Carlsen? They're -$3 to repeat. I said repeat for the Chess Championship. The field +$2.
Well,
how do you keep your finger on all these sports? Do you have a lot of televisions and computers and all that jazz?
I got about 4 screens on my desk plus a laptop and an angry wife that's probably screaming at me because I'm doing too much stuff in my office.
She's on your desk?
Those, yeah.
No, but she's in the room next to me, just probably shaking her head.
Probably listening, saying, "What in the world are these people talking about?"
She hears my interviews so much that she could probably do some of my evening interviews because I just repeat a lot of stuff with football and all that. So she's my replacement if I lose my voice.
There you go.
I used to say when I was covering, I mean, it's true now too, but more when I was actually the voice of a team, that I could interview the coach and then give the coach's answers myself because you know exactly what's going to be said. It's just a matter of how it's actually going to be spun. But it's definitely possible to do. We got horses this weekend. We got big horses this weekend. Who do you like in the Belmont?
No one's going to beat Tiz the Law. I mean, I like the 2-horse, but it's going to be interesting to see how they break off the gate. So Volante, I mean, I think it's probably, last time I checked the board, I think it was 7-1. I think that's the only one. Tiz the Law is going to probably be maybe even 1-9 by the time it goes off. Because I think the bettors are probably just going to pound him. Because so far, speed's been holding at Belmont. So I just think Tiz the Law is going to be a huge favorite. But don't sleep on Dr. Post. I think he'll hit the board. I think last time I checked, he was like +750. Those one tap it to win. If he did not get the 1 post, I probably would have maybe had him to maybe even upset Tiz the Law, but that one getting the 1 spot, not a good thing for Belmont.
What's the largest favorite that's ever posted? I mean, because right now I'm looking at the odds here, and Tiz the Law. I mean, there's no one close to him on the lines right now.
Yeah, I think the track's probably going to have him probably -145 if you want to look at it that way. I think that's last time I saw the track board. He's probably going to float around here. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens on tomorrow's early races. If the speed's going to hold, if the speed holds, boy, everyone's just going to pound Tiz the Law.
Well, they were saying, I'm reading it right now, about there's the mainly dry weather up there this Saturday,
yes,
which is not usually the case, or if it is, they've already gone through some of the other horse races, so some of the horses are used to that rainy weather that they've gotten for so long. So this dry track will do something different for them, I'm sure.
Keep an eye out for Farmington Road too. He might hit the board and may pay a good exacta or try or superfecta.
Interesting. How much? Let me ask you this. I know on mybookie.ag there obviously are billions of odds and prop bets for things that you can't even imagine. You, Raphael, can. if you're listening, you probably can't unless you've messed around on the site too. You can also go and do, like live card games and stuff and see dealers and whatnot. How much action is actually placed there? Do you even wander over to that side at all?
Oh, it's ridiculous how much money goes into table games and slots and stuff like that. I sometimes will go over there just to see what's going on or how much action's going on. It's ridiculous. But I said to people, I used to go on our Twitch forum and watch football games, simulation football games and all that. And it amazes me how many people are just sitting there watching a Madden football game, putting action on it. So if they're watching two people play a video game and putting action on, it doesn't matter how much they're going to put down on blackjack or slots.
That's true.
Good point. What is the let's word it the strangest, most unique bet that's on the board right now? Be it any sport, any country, the thing maybe that made you laugh when you put it up there.
Probably the next Pope. Usually gets people a little bit riled up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Which the last time there was a new pope, we put odds, and I did a whole bunch of articles and interviews, and I guessed it correctly. And I actually got an email from a higher up in the Catholic
diocese.
I don't want to say where it came from. I actually got an email that, which I have no idea how he got my email address, but he wanted to know how I had him pegged as the winner. So if anyone wants to know, Cardinal Luis Antonio from the Philippines is the favorite to be the next pope, 4-1.
All right, there we go.
I mean, if you're tied into that,
yeah,
then you're tied in pretty high, man. I mean, like the afterlife is going to be good to you if you're tied into knowing this.
I wanted to reply and say I got a message from God and how I picked it, but I just couldn't do it.
That's what I was going to say. You can't cross that line there. I thought about it for a second, too.
All right, Raphael, we won't keep you much longer. We appreciate your time as always, man. We will talk to you again next week. It's Raphael Esparza. VSI Doc Sports is where you can find him on Twitter and mybookie.ag. And again, it's a, $1,000 sign-up bonus?
Yes, 1,000 sign-up bonus. You guys all have a fantastic weekend. Stay healthy. And I'm glad you guys, the studio looks very nice today. Very, very good-looking studio today.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I've put a lot of work into the design, and I know that's what you're talking about.
No, it's true. I mean, it's much cleaner. You have your guest in the middle. It's clean. It's tight. It's fine. I mean, it's a podcast. I've seen news stations look worse, so there you go.
Many of them.
You need a glass of bourbon or scotch next to you, though.
I was going to bring up my wine, but then I thought he'd get mad.
No, look. So this is a home studio. I created the studio. I am the boss of the studio, except when my wife is in the studio. So, yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, it's afternoon, right? What time is it? It's almost 1 o'clock.
It's Friday.
Yeah. It's funny how you said you're the boss of that room. That's funny.
Well, it is called the man room, believe it or not. It's, the frog.
He's still not the boss. I'm not the boss of my office.
I admitted that when Ryan Nelson is sitting up here that I am not, unless she's here, I'm the boss of this place. And actually, if I spun the camera around, Raphael, you'd see who the real boss of this room is, with an entire just mess of 7-year-old toys.
Well, we split this frog, which is in South Carolina called a furnished room over garage. And on that side, it's all girl stuff. There's a play kitchen, there's this and that. And then on this side, it's the man side. It's weird to see behind the scenes in certain places.
That's why I don't have kids.
Yeah. That's right. You're busy enough as it is, man. Trust me. Raphael, we will catch you next week, man. Appreciate it.
Take it easy, guys. Have a great weekend.
See you soon. Raphael Esparza, mybookie.ag. I've definitely messed around my fair share on mybookie.ag. And
dude, I don't know about that. But
yeah, well, I mean, I haven't won much.
That's not shocking. I'm like the same thing. I don't mind gambling. I just don't ever win.
Well, it's hard to win.
It is hard to win, but there are some people out there that are really, really good.
That's what makes
my uncle lives in Lake Tahoe. He is slammed busy with that.
The people who are good, right? The ones who actually are professional gamblers, the work they put into this is tireless work. Raphael is one of 3 guys, I don't know if you know this, who makes the odds for mybookie.ag. So we asked him last week the hardest thing to place odds on. He said it is the horses because, well, they're horses. And he's got the racing
weather,
magazines,
yep, and things like that.
A million different things, but he spends a lot of time researching horses, We asked him about a couple other various things. Sometimes he's like, yeah, it's a magic 8-ball, and you just kind of roll some things out. But that's never the way it is. There's always a method to it because the goal is always to put a line where you'll get money on both sides of that line so that Vegas kind of covers themselves whichever way it goes.
I mean, I think it's amazing. It's a lot of math. It's a lot of science. It's a lot of,
it's a lot of knowing
creativity
the sport.
And knowing the sport.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't pay attention
like you said,
to the
pinball.
lines.
I love pinball. Now, could I play anyone against it? No, maybe my dad. But or skee ball. Like, let's do a skee ball tournament.
I promise you, if it's being played to any degree, any sport, he'll put odds on it.
That's awesome.
And cornhole deserves odds. I mean, it's got to happen.
Those guys, remember like how the bowlers twist the ball, like
yeah,
like the little, whatever
spin.
They do the spin, but the way I don't understand. I love bowling, but I'm not good as always. Same with tennis, which is coming up soon. But no, but the cornhole bags are actually, we were talking about this. They're separate. One side smooth, one side's rough. Is that correct?
That is, yeah. We were talking with Jeff McCarriger about that because I really had no idea. Not only is there one smooth side and one sticky side, because if you want the smooth side, that's to push another bag off.
Right.
Then the sticky side is if you just want to like land it right there. Then there are also different brands of bags. There's a website you can go to for all the cornhole lingo that you could possibly imagine. And
well, he probably had to search all that for the certain lingo.
Oh,
just like the pylon story, Darren. Tell that story.
I'm sure Jeff has done. I know he has. He has done tons and tons of homework on cornhole and on the players and on the terms and everything so that he can actually sound like he knows what he's doing when he actually broadcasts cornhole. But the pylon story, so you never know what you're going to get.
Wait, hold on. Cornhole, beanbag tossing, the regulation ones, they either have, I was thinking to myself, see, I haven't been on TV for so long. Whole corn. Say that. Whole kernel. Corn. Now say it real fast.
Whole kernel corn.
I can't.
Yeah.
Weather-resistant resin pellets, if not.
Okay.
2 of those.
So that's what's inside the bag.
Correct.
Great. So the pylon story, and again, you never know what you put husband and wife together, and you never know what story is going to come out. Early, I don't think we were married. Maybe we were.
No, we weren't married. We were dating. We lived at the quarter deck.
Okay. So previous apartment, and I guess it was a cooler day, so I gave Ryan a sweatshirt to wear. It happens to be one that I got when I was in Australia studying
where
abroad.
That great picture came from. That Bobby Harton loved.
Yes, and it was very orange. Like, I mean, traffic cone bright orange.
It was like a billabong or some kind of surfing. Was it billabong?
Exactly what it was. And as soon as she put it on, she said, "Look, I look like a pylon." I said, "All right, you know sports."
He said that's when he knew he was going to marry me. I'm an only child, so my dad taught me all kinds of sports because he didn't have a son. So you can live and learn.
Yeah, that's right. It is time now because Jamie's not here, and it is my job to keep up with all of his favorite things. And one of his favorite things is
the day of the week.
Day of the week.
Oh, Lord.
It is everybody's favorite game, according to Jamie Bradford, who will be back here on Monday. So for everybody's favorite game, we have What Day is Today, and we have lots of days today.
This already has a music bed for this?
Oh, this, like, right when we started, this thing got a music bed. It's called Funky Loop. It's a generic thing that came with another one of these programs I have.
I thought that today was Funky Luke Day. I was like, who the heck is that?
It can be, It can be Funky Loop Day. It's National Flip Flop Day. I'm surprised you're not wearing them. You're just barefoot. Normally, she's in flip flops every single day.
Yep.
So National Flip Flop Day, National Wear Blue Day. You can probably get behind
blue.
That. I'm wearing blue shorts.
Yep.
I'm wearing blue shorts.
I always wear black T-shirts.
National Garfield the Cat Day. Were you a Garfield fan?
No, not too bad.
No, you didn't care about it?
No, I remember reading the comics, Sunday comics. Did you ever do that?
Well, sure.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, no, I would read some of them.
The Sunday comics. He was always at the top. Him and Peanuts.
Well, yeah. And then there's Archie in there as well.
Archie was always a separate
a book.
Comic book for me.
Yeah. Little known fact. Long-distant relative created Archie. If you go in the small print of any Archie book that is in the aisle of grocery stores, you can find a little created by a Richard L. Goldwater. True story. No,
That's like my Willie Nelson, long-term. Nelson's their last name. And when I met him one time on his bus, the Desert Rose, I think it's called, he was really stoned. Sorry. But in his room, in his awesome RV, when I was interviewing him, he hugged me. Oh, you're my relative. We were joking around. Mm-hmm. You look over in the kitchen, and there's a bunch of apples, bananas, just pristine sitting there, right, on the counter. Look at the other counter. Guess what? Dorito bags all over the place, Snickers. I mean, it looked like a munchie heaven over there, but half of it was gone.
That's not the most surprising thing I've heard today.
No,
It's only 1 o'clock.
Hey, he's a cool dude.
So that was National Garfield the Cat Day that we went way off of. National Martini Day.
I don't do martinis much anymore.
No, but you did on our anniversary.
I did?
Yeah.
No.
Sure you did. We were out at Seoul.
That's a margarita.
Oh, that's right. Margarita martini. I like beer. But
Seoul had a really good margarita.
It is National Watch Day. That's something I can get behind. I am wearing one of my watches today. I do have some.
And thanks to Richard Goldwater.
So yes, National Watch Day is certainly something that I can always get behind, because you know what bugs me more than anything? Those Apple Watches. And you wear them like for fashion.
I know, I don't like
They're
that
not
either.
fashion. They're a computer on your wrist. If you want to wear a watch and spend money on a watch, spend money on a watch.
I get it. Some people need it for work. But if you're wearing a dress-up situation, they do have new, like, fancier stainless steel,
and
whatever.
it can monitor blood pressure and heart rate and stuff. My mom actually has one because of that. Our good friend, our neighbor, Mike, has a watch I did not realize was a smartwatch until he, did something with it, and he actually surprised me. But anyway.
But he does get mad if I have a watch that Richard gave me, his dad, and sometimes I don't get the date right, and that drives him bonkers.
Yeah. Take care of your watches on National Watch Day.
I know what I'm saying, but it's hard.
Take back the lunch break day.
Well, that seems to be already happening. You know, people are at home more, and
that's why we're from 12 to 2, because we're taking back the lunch break. We are making your lunch break from 12 until 2 so that we can take back your lunch break for you.
Speaking of that, next time I fill in, I am going to give you a rider of sort to fill for me. And that's the DB cheesesteaks. Every time I hear that commercial, man, it makes me salivate.
There you go. DB's Cheesesteak. They're in Avondale and West Ashley.
And I didn't.
Buffalo chicken cheesesteak.
Listen to that commercial. It's amazing.
Yeah. Buffalo chicken cheesesteak. Get it with those fried onions. Don't forget the boardwalk fries. You can order it online, and you can order through any of the delivery apps, DoorDash, Grubhub, Postmates, whatever you use. They're on all of them. You can order it and pick it up. You can order it and have it delivered to you. It is DB's Cheesesteak in the Avondale area of West Ashley.
And they have my favorite show as a mural on their side, Righteous Gemstones.
Yeah. Filmed here in Charleston.
That's right.
You did not know.
Yes.
And, of course, it is Juneteenth as well, which we started the show talking about, Juneteenth. So the national days of the week of today are National Flip-Flop Day, Wear Blue Day, National Garfield Cat Day, National Martini Day, National Watch Day, National Take Back the Lunch Break Day, and, again, Juneteenth as well. Coming up, we are going to switch gears and talk to another good friend of both of ours, one of the more prominent, members of the sports world in the Charleston area.
I loved Bob Moran did a lot for the CAA Men's Championship when it came to town.
Absolutely.
We worked together at that.
Certainly did.
He is an Elon graduate.
Yes, I believe
Alumnus.
that is true.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So Bob's going to join us, not because he's an Elon grad.
No. He knows tennis like the back of his hand.
Which he better, because that's his job with the Volvo Car Open. So halfway through this Friday edition, we also have the National Anthem presented by Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum. That's coming up as well. Yes.
Speaking of the Patriots Point Museum, Father's Day, they're giving away free admission to dads.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Go on Twitter. Go onto their website, patriotspoint.org. I saw it, I think, on the news or on Twitter this morning. But, yeah, that's great. Bring dad out there. My grandpa used to bring us there when I was a kid.
Hey, Chris Hoff, when we have these sponsorships going on and you have cool things, let us know. That'd be cool. But at least Ryan Nelson's here to.
I can be your news. I can be your news nugget for a minute.
You're always my nugget.
Yeah.
DB's Cheesesteaks, the tastiest, juiciest, and now award-winning cheesesteaks in the Low Country. DB's Cheesesteaks delivers, and not just in quality. Download DoorDash, Uber Eats, or your delivery app of choice and have it dropped off at your doorstep. Original chicken, buffalo chicken, even pizza cheesesteaks, not to mention incredible cheeseburgers, massive hot dogs, and dynamite hoagies. It's all there for you and your family. DB's Cheesesteaks in West Ashley. dbscheesesteaks.com.
What's up, guys? It's JB. Obviously, things have been kind of crazy with the coronavirus taking over our lives. We're stuck inside with family, finding ways to be creative and probably tapping the liquor cabinet a little bit. If you don't have Patrick Davis's Whiskey Jam in yours, put on your mask and gloves and head to Bottles or Burris liquor stores here in Charleston. The Blackberry is my personal favorite on the rocks, but the original Whiskey Jam is Patrick's. So either way, you're winning with Whiskey Jam. WhiskeyJam.com, PatrickDavis.com.
One of these drinks is gonna cloud my memory.
Honey Baked Ham in Somerville and in Mount Pleasant is your home for catering and lunch. Honey Baked Somerville, owned by former Gamecock right-hander Mike Cisco, is just off the interstate and they are ready to cater to your next business or family meal. Plus, drop in for an incredible sandwiches daily for lunch. The Mount Pleasant location is at the foot of the Ravenel Bridge and always ready to serve and cater to your next meals as well. Plus, delivery is available. Honeybake.com to find your menu today.
As businesses start to open up around South Carolina, we have Ryan Nelson back in here to tell us about Dog and Duck Family Pubs, the 3 locations, and some new hours going on. What's up?
That's right. We now offer indoor dining and patio seating outside. The new hours are Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., and then Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. now. Slowly getting back into the normal routine, or so what we think, and we hope everybody comes out and supports local businesses like Dog and Duck.
And you still have family special meals as well?
That's right. Always the family style meals, and you can always get curbside pickup or carry out. If you're not ready to venture outside yet, we're here for you.
Patriots Point proudly presents the national anthem of the United States of America.
You're listening to the JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online.
Patrick Davis bringing us back in on this Friday afternoon, halfway through the final show of the work week here on the JB and Goldwater Show with Ryan Nelson in for Jamie Bradford. We are trying to hook up with Bob Moran. We tried to have this all squared away yesterday and then again today, and I dropped the ball. And trying to Skype with him, and if that doesn't work, we can just link up over the phone
or something like a phoner. I just texted him.
Yeah, if he wants to call in, he can easily call in, and I'll give him and really everybody the number to call in. It would be 843-321-8893.
8893.
843-321-8893 is the number that, when we're taking calls, it's a good place to use. Do I think he remembered? Yeah, it's to promote an event that's coming up in his backyard that he's helping put on.
I know. Well, maybe there's just technical difficulties.
Oh, that's always possible. Technical difficulties are just kind of a part of everyday life.
all types of media,
But, who knows? Maybe something came up as Bob is trying to organize everything that's going on. What is happening, and we'll tell you this, there hasn't been professional tennis in a while, and the Volvo Car Open, which year in and year out, and I'm not afraid to say this. I say it all the time, and I
love that. I love it there.
Yeah,
I love
the
event.
River Dogs. The Batteries, a great event. Stingrays, the colleges in town put on a great show. Year in and year out, without exception, the Volvo Car Open is the best sporting event in town. There's no question. And it's great for families. It's great for kids. It is great for sports in general. Even if you're not a tennis fan, just walking around the grounds, the food, the sights, it's one of the best events. They had to cancel it. It was the beginning of April. It always is. So they canceled it because of COVID. And
I will say, too, I think, they canceled the Cooper River Bridge Run, that Flower Town Festival. And that all seems to clump with itself so much. And I would hope that this kind of gives what are the planners of this some time to not have everything on the same weekend in Charleston and spread it out a little. I don't think growing up in Somerville, Flower Town Festival started as a little craft fair. It grew and grew and grew. Mm-hmm. And then now when you have, how many people running the bridge run?
40-some thousand, right?
Yeah. So hopefully when they're looking into 2021, kind of looking into a way where I know with them, they're dealing with like very big stars like Serena Williams and people like that. The tennis company, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, but I hope that people around here who are planning events start thinking about longer times, different times, not all on the same weekend.
Yeah, no, that'd be good. Unfortunately, the Volvo Car Open isn't really going to change. It moved recently, but it falls in with where they can best fit it with the WTA, with the tennis
that's what
calendar.
I'm saying. That's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, but going forward with some of these other events, we're not going to have the Cooper River Bridge Run this year. So same thing.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true.
This is a great time for all of us to stand back and just kind of think about it.
Yes. But there will be tennis at the Volvo Car Open next week.
But we can't watch it. We can watch it on tennis channel.
Yeah, no, you can watch it. It's a made-for-TV event. You just can't go. So because of, again, COVID, they are putting on this event, and they are bringing in some of the big stars. It's called the Credit One Bank Invitational. It'll be the 23rd through the 28th, so it starts next week. It runs next week. It's 16 players, and it'll be teams. So it's like 2 teams of 8 for these 16 players. They will raise money for the Medical University of South Carolina, for MUSC, for the frontline healthcare workers.
They do so much.
Here are some of the players that are coming in. Jeannie Bouchard is coming in. Jeannie is wildly popular because she is, number one, very good at tennis. She is also just a touch behind you in terms of the stunning looks.
You don't have to say that. If I had a tennis girl's body or tennis woman's body, I'd be out there in just a tank top.
Yeah. So Jeannie will be here.
Muscles. Yep.
Sloane Stevens, who has been around here many times, former U.S. Open champ. Madison Keys, who has been very vocal about how much she loves coming to Charleston to take part in the Volvo Car Open. She will be coming.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Breaking news. Bob Moran did call, and he said he did, but it went to voicemail for this 321 number. Can you log it into my phone?
No, I'm calling him right back now.
That's why you got to roll with it, right?
That's right. I mean, you never know what's going to happen here. When you're going live, that's just the way it works. But we'll call him back, and we'll get him here on the phone. Let's see who else. Monica Puig is going to be here. Allison Risk, Shelby Rogers is here. So she doesn't have to come here. Shelby Rogers is here, and she'll be playing. But now Bob Moran is with us. Is she really?
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So why are we talking to you? Why
I have no idea why you're talking to me. She's the talent.
Yeah, seriously. Well, tell me a little bit about this event. This is Bob Moran. If you're listening on the Podbean app or watching, missed it via Skype, so we've got him on the phone. Second best option. How'd this thing all come together, and what type of preparation has to go on to put on a fanless event at Volvo Car Open?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. And, I'm much better on radio than TV, so you're getting the best out of my voice. We're, when our tournament was canceled in April, we always we really started thinking about, what's next. And then as things progressed and everything seemed to cancel in the tennis world and everywhere else, honestly, we were like, okay, when do we come out of this? How do we come out of this? What do we want to do? And I started talking to some players, and obviously what a lot of people don't realize is the players, they didn't have a chance to earn a living either. They were, stuck at home or quarantined or what have you, and not being able to play the game and not being able to, like the rest of a lot of us, not be able to earn a living. So we said, okay, can we do this safely? Can we do it fanless? And what does that mean? So we really engaged with our partners at MUSC, and they really helped us a lot with their back to work group that they organized. It comes into a business and then this is kind of the steps you need to take. So in our case, it's testing, creating areas of social distancing, daily thermal tests, all the things that you've been hearing about in professional sports. We've put an action plan together that we're executing as we speak. It's very different creating something without fans because your worry list does go down, but with the medical piece, your worry list goes up. But we're really confident in everything. The players are pumped to be here. They're ready to get back to play, and we're bringing live tennis, via Tennis Channel in prime time, 4 to 11 every night for the next week.
Oh, that's
starting
awesome.
Tuesday night. So it's awesome. We're really excited about what that can be.
Is it hard for the players? We were talking earlier about golf when they don't have any fans. Some of them do better without the fans. Is it easier for them, or is it more difficult without fans in the stands?
Yeah, I don't think they know yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, this is their first tournament back. But that's another reason we created a team atmosphere. So we have 16 players. We're doing a draft Monday night. We have 2 captains, Madison Keys and Bethany Maddox-Sands. It'll be 8-on-8. So we're hoping that that interaction between the team side of them, with their teammates cheering them on from the sidelines and things like that will go a long way in, at least adding a little bit to the mix from a fan perspective.
What are you hearing from the players? I would imagine, when are they starting to show up? Today, tomorrow? Is that about when they're coming in?
Yeah, so I'm doing all testing tomorrow and Sunday. So they have to be here no later than tomorrow night at 7 o'clock in order to test Sunday morning. So everyone's scheduled to be here by tomorrow night. We have some obviously, it's kind of funny. Emma Navarro lives here. Shelby is from here, so she's in town.
Yep.
Allison Risk, who is currently number 19 in the world, they just bought a house here on May 1st.
How about that?
Oh, wow.
They came back into town. So we have a few players here. But everyone gets tested Saturday and Sunday, and we should have all the results Sunday night, ready to go for warm-ups and practice Monday with play starting Tuesday.
The players must be psyched, because I know how much they enjoy coming here for the Volvo Car Open. And now they haven't been playing in a while, and now they get to come back here to Charleston and play in that same setting. I mean, what's the feedback you've heard from players when you announced this?
Oh, the calls have never been quicker responses yet. And we have a waiting list that would have been 2 pages long of players who really wanted to play.
Oh.
And yeah, could have we done a 32 event draw? Could we have done a real, a tournament where single elimination, all of that? We could have, but really we wanted to get our arms around what is this like, and really we feel like we can control the 16 and understand, all the protocols that need to be put in place. So we're comfortable there. And at the same time, we're hoping that we can help everybody else who comes behind us and say, hey, here's kind of the things you need to look out for. Here are the habits players have, and things we need to be aware of. And when you're starting to run in the fall, here's what you need to think about. So we're hoping we can be a great template for others to do the same thing.
I know this is probably a no, but are you guys going to have ball girls, ball boys, anything like that?
We are. We're going to have 2, perhaps 4, 2 at the net. And so what we got really creative with is ultimately we didn't want anyone touching the balls. So and tennis players have seen practice courts and everything. There's all these long ball tubes that you pick up the balls with. We basically took all those and sawed them down to about so they only handle 6 balls. Oh. And the kids will have those ball tubes really small at the net, and they'll pick them up that way and then roll them to the players. So the ball kids will never touch the balls.
I love that idea.
You know what?
I just think there's so many kids that do that, volunteer for that during the Volvo Car Open. Their faces, they're just so excited to be in that situation.
Oh, yeah.
So that's awesome that they're going to be there.
Well, the good news is we're developing what the next world will look like. Yep. I mean, this was a really simple answer to the kids never having to touch the ball. And so we feel very comfortable that they can be out there and with no effect at all, no danger.
Have you been in touch with the U.S. Open, the folks up there in New York? Because obviously that's coming up right around the corner. Are they in touch with you? Are they following your lead? How much communication there?
Well, let's say this. They'll never follow our lead.
Yeah.
The U.S. Open is U.S. Open. They will do it the way they want to do it. But we have a very good relationship. I can tell you the last 2 months of my life has involved at least 2 to 3 calls a week with international tournament directors, the USTA, the WTA. It's been, and like a lot of people, constant Zoom calls just to keep up. And no, the USTA has been very good with us, and the WTA has been very supportive of us, what we're doing, and they're definitely paying attention, and we will help in any way possible when it comes to what their world is.
So give us an idea about the event, because it's a unique format, right? 16 players, 2 teams, and how does the whole thing work?
Sure. So, 16 players, 2 teams. We do the draft Monday night. Every player over the 6 days will play 2 singles matches and 2 doubles matches. So Tuesday night, we're kicking off with 4 singles, and those will be worth 1 point each towards their team. Wednesday night will be 3 singles and 1 double. Those matches will be worth 1 point to your team. Thursday and Friday will both be 3 singles and a double. Those will now be worth 2 points for your team. And then we go to Saturday, and again, 3 singles, 1 double. Those are worth 3 points. And then my Sunday final, these girls are thinking I'm crazy, but I love it, is I want them all playing on Sunday. And so we're playing 4 doubles matches, all worth 3 points.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of them will come down. And as the girls said on the presser yesterday, both Bethany and Madison said it yesterday, it says, what's cool about it is everyone's coming from a different place of training and not playing. Madison Keys, for example, hasn't played a singles match since Australia, which is 4 months. And this gives them an opportunity to get out there for the first 2 rounds and play and get their games back. And so then as you get further down the road, the 2 points and then the 3 points, where everyone should be back to feeling good about their games and excited about their games, and that's when it means the most. So they're excited that that's kind of playing into it.
Very cool. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun, and still no fans at all, right? Just the tournament staff, the players, and the few ball kids and
The
chair umpires and whatnot.
Camera ops.
Yeah.
We have a chair umpire, ball kids. Each player has a coach and another guest that they'd like. And then, our staff broadcast. Tennis Channel has a pretty large contingent coming in, but they're kept separate from everything. Most of the cameras are robotic. And we're using so many. What's fun about this is I don't have any rules I have to follow. Let's say that. And so Tennis Channel is engaged with us about, hey, we're going to use a drone a lot in the coverage. So
that's
just
cool.
hovering above the stadium, getting close-ups with the drone as they're coming in and out. There's just so many cool attributes that we're able to use. We have a rail cam that will enable the players to we'll be able to see the players in their pods, because I didn't explain that. For the social distancing purposes, I've taken the concourse here at the stadium and built 16 different pods for all the players.
Oh.
So you have, it's this green carpet, grass carpet really in front, a couch, a lounger, charging station, workout gear, whatever they need.
Is it kind of like a suite for them?
That's where they'll hang out.
Yeah.
But keeps them separate.
It's a suite kind of thing, like a suite.
Yeah, that's exactly what we did. We built their own.
No, those are nice suites on there. But yeah, it's air conditioning, got stuff in there.
Yeah.
No air conditioning. These are open air.
Oh, that's even better though, actually.
Yeah.
Depends.
Well, depends. You're used to it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it sounds like it's a great event, and I know half the proceeds are going to MUSC, so that's awesome as well, and kind of presenting a framework for some more sports returning. So we
go, Bob. Go.
Yeah, man. Look forward to it.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah. You know what, Bob?
Well,
you do a great job
today, guys.
You do a great job.
I look forward to coming back to talk to you more about other stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, why don't you fill in one day so I don't have to?
Anytime.
Okay.
I love it.
Well,
love it.
let me ask you. Let me ask you this before you go. So,
sure.
Jeannie Bouchard on social media has been. She's a pretty fun follow, actually. So Bob Menery has a podcast and has been actively recruiting her is the wrong word. Trying to swoon her, I guess, is a better word. Is that her guest? Is Bob Menery coming to town?
Bob Menery is not on the list.
Too bad. It's probably good for you. He's really funny, but he'd probably cause some problems.
No, I know Menery all too well, and yeah, I don't need that.
All right, man. Well, have a good time. Tell Shelby we said hello, and we're looking forward to watching everything.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
See you later. Bob Moran, the tournament director, president of the Volvo Car Open, which is hosting what is the Credit One Bank Invitational, and that will run starting Monday. And as you just heard Bob describe, it runs all the way through Sunday. 16 players, 2 different teams, and kind of a framework of how we can get back to sports.
But I love that for the fact of, I know that was kind of, most people are like, why is she asking about ball boys?
No, it's a
Ball
good question.
But, they're the first ones that touch the ball.
That's right.
And then we had that woman that said you can't touch golf balls and you can touch tennis
You
balls.
can kick their balls.
Right.
You
kick their
just
balls.
can't touch their balls.
So that's why I was wondering, but that's a great idea. Just like a hopper, just a small little tube hopper that's going to be able to take it and then roll it right to them.
That's right. And that's the reason I asked about the U.S. Open, because that's a thought I never once considered, but it's a great idea. And I wouldn't be shocked at all if the U.S. Open does something along those lines if it works. And I'm assuming they've tested it, and I'm assuming it will work. But if you've ever played tennis or seen tennis, I mean, these things they're tubes that you just put it down over the ball, and the ball just goes right in. And normally they're pretty big. I mean, they could be a couple feet long. So he sawed it off into, I think he said about 6 balls can fit right there. So the kids, the ball boys, ball girls won't touch it at all. Mm-hmm. Kick it right back over to the players. Sounds like fun.
Yeah, we'll see.
It really does. So
on the Tennis Channel starting Monday.
Yes, on the Tennis Channel starting Monday. And my guess is, because it's on the Tennis Channel, you'll probably have, I don't want to speak out of line here, and we'll have Dean Stevens coming up in 10 minutes that he'll be able to answer this question. I would bet that Channel 4 has potentially exclusive on-site coverage.
They did before. I know in the past, Scott Eisberg's been out there.
Right. Well, in the past, they've also allowed other stations out there.
I know, but because Tennis Channel is in line with Sinclair, is that correct?
That's correct. So there have been a lot of collaborations between Scott Eisberg and the Tennis Channel during the Volvo Car Open. So I would imagine you will see some collaboration with Channel 4 when this comes up next week. So again, just the players, and I don't know how many people are actually.
The drone idea is awesome.
The drone idea is great.
I was going to
so
say,
is the
hey,
rail
Bob.
cam.
I was like, hey, Bob, can we sponsor that? JB and Goldwater? Next year, not this year.
That's right.
Joking.
Well, it's fun. When it was announced, I had reached out to Bob because it was announced on a weekend or Friday night or something like that. And I had texted Bob, and I said, look, I'm going to reach out on Monday and see how we can be involved, the show. And I never really did.
Because like you guys did with Debbie Antonelli's.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a very socially distant event and no fans and whatnot. And I never actually did. And as I explained to him yesterday when I reached out, I said, listen, I first wanted to make sure that I had in-house taken care of before I started taking this thing out of house again. So, but that's why. But next year, if this becomes a thing. So Victoria Azarenka, Sloane Stevens, Madison Keys, Monica Puig, Danielle Collins, Allison Risk, Shelby Rogers, who was right there with Bob when we were talking, Jeannie Bouchard, Jennifer Brady, Layla Fernandez, and Emma Navarro. Keys and Maddox Sands are the captains, so that's those are the two that'll have the draft. And then I would imagine, I didn't get this question in, but I would imagine what happens then is it's kind of like Davis Cup format-ish. Mm-hmm. He explained the singles and the doubles, but the captains will probably pick, okay, you two are going to play, right? You two will play singles today. You two will play singles tomorrow. You two are going to be the doubles teams. And, it's a great event for Charleston. It's a great event.
And it's raising money for MUSC. So let me tell you what MUSC normally does. I mean, they've saved my mom numerous times. But also their children's hospital is amazing, the Sean Jenkins. And now with what they're doing, I just read something on Twitter again. Sorry, I'm tweeting out. I didn't tweet. But someone said that there's already a line there, at the Citadel Mall where that new MUSC is in the Citadel Mall.
Yeah.
And there's already a line for COVID testing that's going all the way out.
Well, that's been going on since very early on in the.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, good for them that they're going to be able to help MUSC.
Yes, and they will be helping out some of the frontline workers. So that's good. If you missed it earlier, South Carolina has put out a budget for The upcoming year, they expect, I think hope is a better word, $127 million in revenue and $114 in expenses, so that pockets them $13 million. Everything is subject to change. From a ticket standpoint, last year they made $2.1 million. This year they're projecting $19.5. So, again, everything is subject to change, just like everything else that's going on right now, depending on the state of the coronavirus and whatever else is going on. So
I just think it's been, as I said the last time I was on here, it's been a very large learning curve for everyone. We work from home. We didn't before. If I had to work from home and just started or things like that, thank God I have a job. But also going out in public when you have a kid. I mean, she never went to the grocery store. And we've learned a lot. And I'm glad that all these events that are happening here are learning as well.
That's right. So before we get to Dean.
He stalled me off.
So I wanted to bring this up to you specifically because I thought it would be fun. The NBA, in their return to play proposal, I guess, part of this, they have set up, I don't know what their official title is for this thing, but it's been dubbed the NBA Snitch Line. So it's an anonymous hotline where people...
Snitches get stitches, all right? You've never heard that one before?
Oh, yeah, I have. So an anonymous hotline where people can call if they witness violations of safety protocols. So players can call and rat on other players. I guess support staff that's around the players can also use that hotline. So the question is, if that line was set up for you here, locally, to snitch on anything, what would it be?
It's called an HOA.
Yes, to snitch on them, though, not the people in the neighborhood.
No, they snitch on the neighborhood of stupid stuff. Well, here's the thing. I always, even with an HOA, let's use that as an example. If they say, oh, you're whatever's this side, whatever. Oh, well, give me pictures. Nowadays, everything can take a picture, and it has a timestamp. And so if they're taking these calls, it needs to be followed up with, hey, here's Darren Goldwater, sneezing all over the microphone, which everyone's going to use next. And so, I wouldn't call it a snitch line. That's a terrible way to call it. What's the words I'm looking for? Like concern line.
Tattletale?
No, concern line. The reason, and Crime Stoppers is not a snitch. I mean, to me, it's stopping crime.
Right. This isn't crime, though.
Right. Well, it is if it gets certain people sick in their immunities. And
Wow.
It's not a crime. But I think that's the dumbest name ever. And if they need a PR company, they're welcome to call me because we would really work on that one. Because, like I said, when you're a kid, you learn snitches get stitches. Even though we tell our daughter now, please tell us and those things. But
I don't know if it's actually called.
If you were on? Oh, it's not called. I thought that was
don't
the
know.
name. Oh, I thought it was the name.
That's what it's being referred to as. I don't know. It can't possibly actually be called that.
If it is. Well, and if you're playing basketball, these are your friends, and some of them your enemies on other. Go ahead.
It's an anonymous tip line is how they have, I guess, dubbed it. But quickly, the snitch thing has overridden whatever they want it to be called. So, anonymous tip is what they're saying.
Well, what if they just do the protocol, but then have more testing? And I don't know. I mean, I just don't think
there are tons of protocols.
If you're
We're not going to go back through that.
If you're going to call someone, no. I know, but if you're going to call, and you've got to have evidence, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, that's the point. You call if you see someone violating the safety protocols. They'll be wearing monitors. The players are asked to. Support staff is required to wear these monitors that if you are standing within 6 feet of someone for at least 5 seconds, they will go off. You can also there are these rings. I forget exactly the name of the ring, but similar idea. Like you can't be too close to one another. They have
But the guys can play each other on the court?
That's right.
No, that doesn't make sense.
I'm just telling you, yes, that's correct.
I appreciate the little stamps on Harris Teeter's floor sometimes.
Yeah.
But if they're out on the court, what is going to happen? So, equipment manager Joe here, he's going to beep, 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 beep every 5 minutes because he's going to try to get something to someone.
But maybe when you're not playing, maybe you don't have to. Or when you're actually playing. Or at a game, working a game. Maybe you don't have to wear it. I don't know.
So here's another question, the way they line up. I did CAA men's basketball with Ron Bertovich, who I loved very much.
CAA men's. Yeah,
CAA men's
Colonial.
basketball. Mm-hmm. And so when you have your basketball chairs, like the one I'm sitting in here.
Yeah, the bench.
Right. Well, when you have that, though, you got all the sweaty players coming off, taking turns. Are they going to sit somewhere else next?
No, they're going to
be hand sanitized.
There's very regimented testing protocols. So theoretically, if you're playing in the game and you're on the bench, you've been tested many times. You have to test negative twice before you even play.
And what was the gentleman though? That took his spit and put on the microphone for real?
Gobert.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
That's
it takes 10 to 14 incubation days, they say.
Yeah.
So no, my whole thing is that the support staff works their ass off for those people, and if they're getting ringed every 5 minutes, it's almost like they're stealing something from the pharmacy or something. I mean, I agree in social distancing.
Yeah, but you're not going to snitch on anybody.
No,
except for the HOA.
No, but that's what it's like.
I'm happy to.
Guess what? Your trash can has been out longer than 6 hours.
The HOA is
in every neighborhood. It doesn't matter. But then if you live in some places that do not have an HOA, then it could be like they're just going to pull up with whatever.
Yeah, brutal. All right, Dean Stevens is coming up next. The award-winning analyst for Friday Night Lights, presented by Stars and Strikes. I don't remember exactly how we went about that.
I'd like to go there.
Well,
Dean.
I don't even know if it's open right now. But maybe Dean will know. I have no idea. Dean Stevens, ABC News 4. He's next.
DB's Cheesesteaks, the tastiest, juiciest, and now award-winning cheesesteaks in the Low Country. DB's Cheesesteaks delivers, and not just in quality. Download DoorDash, Uber Eats, or your delivery app of choice and have it dropped off at your doorstep. Original chicken, buffalo chicken, even pizza cheesesteaks. Not to mention incredible cheeseburgers, massive hot dogs, and dynamite hoagies. It's all there for you and your family. DB's Cheesesteaks in West Ashley. dbscheesesteaks.com.
What's up, guys? It's JB. Obviously, things have been kind of crazy with the coronavirus taking over our lives. We're stuck inside with family, finding ways to be creative and probably tapping the liquor cabinet a little bit. If you don't have Patrick Davis's Whiskey Jam in yours, put on your mask and gloves and head to Bottles or Burris liquor stores here in Charleston. The Blackberry is my personal favorite on the rocks, but the original Whiskey Jam is Patrick's. So either way, you're winning with Whiskey Jam. WhiskeyJam.com, PatrickDavis.com.
Honey Baked Ham in Somerville and in Mount Pleasant is your home for catering and lunch. Honey Baked Somerville, owned by former Gamecock right-hander Mike Cisco, is just off the interstate and they are ready to cater to your next business or family meal. Plus, drop in for an incredible sandwiches daily for lunch. The Mount Pleasant location is at the foot of the Ravenel Bridge and always ready to serve and cater to your next meals as well. Plus, delivery is available. Honeybake.com to find your menu today.
As businesses start to open up around South Carolina, we have Ryan Nelson back in here to tell us about Dog and Duck Family Pubs, the 3 locations, and some new hours going on. What's up?
That's right. We now offer indoor dining and patio seating outside. The new hours are Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m., and then Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. now. Slowly getting back into the normal routine, or so what we think, and we hope everybody comes out and supports local businesses like Dog and Duck.
And you still have family special meals as well?
That's right. Always the family-style meals, and you can always get curbside pickup or carry out. If you're not ready to venture outside yet, we're here for you.
To have a radio station everyone loves.
I love them a lot. JB and Darren.
I love you, man. I love you too, bud. I love you, dude. I love you, bro Montana. I love you, Holmes. I love you, Broseph Goebbels. I love you, Machacha. I love you, Tico Brohe. Okay. Let's continue here.
On the JB and Goldwater Show.
Just because we love everybody, figured we'd play a little Edwin McCain to finish out a Friday show. Ryan Nelson is in for Jamie Bradford, and as promised, Dean Stevens of ABC News 4 fame is with us now. What's going on, man? How are things going over there in Stevens' world?
Stevens' world?
Stevens' world.
It's not quite like Wayne's World. I kind of miss Wayne's World.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit more fun.
Dude,
these
I
days.
will remember this. When I was in maybe high school or whatever, Dean was on, in sports on Channel 4.
How you're aging him.
Thanks for that.
Shush. Well, Kathy O'Hare is my best friend, and she, which they all anchored all at the same time. And Kellen Butler. Anyway, Dean had a mullet.
No.
Speaking of Wayne's World, Dean, remember your curly hair went down the back, and then you wore those turtlenecks, like in that turkey bowl thing.
I don't know if you can have a mullet when you got hair like mine. I don't think it's accurate. Maybe I was a little poofy in the back.
Professional in the front, party in the back.
Kind of like now.
Well,
look at you. I didn't even see you. There you go.
I mean, look at mine, man.
That Duratrans is the bomb. Look at you.
I got serious fro going on.
I seen that on my old set a long time ago.
Yeah, I pulled that Duratran off the back wall behind the set. So when we started doing stuff from home, I mean, it had been sitting up there forever. I mean, you can see.
I'm surprised there's not any
rips
in it.
Like down at the bottom of it, in the very corner, you can see the street, and there's cars. It looks like probably a 1992 Datsun.
What's the picture?
And you know what? You don't see 50,000 hotels in the back either.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
No, good point. Yeah, excellent point.
You got to zoom in on that Datsun here in a little bit for us.
What's the at bat over your right shoulder?
Oh, so that's actually awesome. That was a good friend of my dad's was a painter. So this was painted in 1972.
Oh.
So that's Willie Mays
cool.
as a Met.
Yeah.
And he's playing against the Giants, and that's the first home run he ever hit as a New York Met, which I believe, because I was researching the other day, like on Willie Mays Day, I believe was actually his first game as a Met, and it was pinch hitting.
Really?
And he hit a home run, and that's
awesome.
the shot.
That's very cool.
Yeah, so I've had it since 1972.
Huh.
So like one of the very few things that I was able to steal away from our house. My older brother, we had so many pennants. When I was a kid, I used to have those old felt pennants, and they would wrap around near the ceiling of the room. And my brother had, his, I had mine. And then after my father passed away, my mom sold the house that we grew up in. We had boxes and boxes of baseball cards, and we had these pennants. And so I told my brother, I said, hey, I'd like to get my pennants. He's like, well, I don't really know where they are.
They're in the trash, honey.
What do you know? No. So
he took them all?
He sent me like 3, But I mean, I had the one I do have is the 1968 All-Star game from Houston. That was the first baseball or sporting event I remember. I was 5 and I was at the game. So he sent me that one, a couple other ones. And when I went to visit him not long after this, I went into his oldest son's room, and all around my nephew Ryan's room were all my freaking pennants. I was like,
you steal them back?
No, I didn't want to.
No, that's his little nephew's room now. I think Darren had a room that had, didn't you have Pirates wallpaper?
Yeah, no, I had. So because I grew up, I just told this story actually, because I grew up in the D.C. area and there was not a National League team, I'd go to Orioles games, but I decided to be a Pirates fan, which was one of the worst mistakes of my life. Which then, thankfully, I was able to then flip it around to become a Nationals fan who beat the Astros in the World Series.
Yeah, whatever. Go ahead.
I just didn't know they made actual sports wallpaper back then.
So I had the Pirates, like, pinstripes going down the wall, then a rectangular, I guess, border all around the top with the Pirates logos. I had those pennants you were talking about all over my room. I don't know where any of those are.
They always had a weird smell. Well, they are, but they had a weird smell after a while. Yeah.
If they're worth a lot of money these days, maybe I should try and figure out
where
they are.
It's like all those baseball cards I've been asking you to sell.
Those are right behind me.
Yeah, great. So, Dean, how's it going?
When I grew up in Houston, so I was an Oilers fan, but I was also a huge Miami Dolphin fan because when we lived in New Jersey, when I was like from 3 to 5. Hi, puppy.
He's making his appearance here.
He's been sleeping the whole time, and now he's like, "Oh, I hear Dean."
Hello,
JoJo.
So when I was in New Jersey, we lived next door to Jim Kick.
Jim Kick.
You remember him?
No, I do not remember Jim Kick.
So Jim Kick was in the backfield with Larry Zonka and Mercury Morris.
Okay.
So I was always a huge Dolphin fan. So like my bed sheets, my pillowcase, towels. I still have my Dolphin beanie from back then. So yeah, you just kind of grab onto something and you're a kid and it just kind of blows up. It's kind of cool.
Well, let me ask you this. We just talked to Bob Moran and they've got that event coming up next week. I was speculating that Eisberg, Brzezowski, maybe they would have some special access, maybe, because of the Sinclair tie. What does Channel 4 have any plans for that?
The last time I talked to Scotty, I think the answer was no. I'm pretty sure it's a hard no.
Probably just for Bob was saying he didn't want a lot of outside things coming in right now, just so they can understand what's going on.
Yes, I would say probably no. But Scotty and Greg, they've been helping us cover news right now, and the way things have changed over the last couple of weeks, I can't imagine they're going to let people go into that place because the interesting thing that I've seen, and I'm interviewing the chief quality officer from MUSC here in about an hour, there are more and more kids testing positive now. Like 18 to 30-year-olds. So, they're kind of turned out to be these super spreaders. And, some of my friends in the community have called and they're just hearing from all these parents that don't know what to do. And she's like, I don't know what to tell them. And I'm like, you should have said, well, where were you when your kid wanted to go hang out at Shim Creek, shoulder to shoulder and drink all afternoon, right? Because and without a mask on. I was down at Sullivan's 2 Wednesdays ago and having dinner. My niece was in town, and so we took her out before she went back to Houston. And there's probably 300 people between all those restaurants right there. And I think my wife, myself, and like 2 old people had masks on.
Yeah.
I don't think people just don't care. I don't think they care anymore.
We went to Sullivan's on Sunday because Sunday was our anniversary, and I was thinking, well, it's not a great day, so there won't be
really
much
cloudy. Yeah,
there won't be much beach traffic. We can probably go find a place to eat. We never parked. I mean, it was slammed, and I don't.
Oh, really?
I don't think I saw a mask.
Now, if we would have rolled up in our golf cart, there's a bunch of parking.
Well,
not that I have a golf cart, but it's funny for the fact that everything we went to go park in is golf cart parking only, which I get is great for the island folk. But when there's other people coming over, we don't have a place. And now you can't park on one side of the road, and then the line was outrageous.
I think here's what's going to happen. Nobody knows what's going to happen, right? But if we keep on this path and we keep on this trajectory, and again, the thing to watch for, and this is why I wanted to interview the doctor, just so I can get some things cleared up, because I get attacked on Facebook because we're not reporting this way or that way or the other way. But
of course,
the percentage positives, right? Like of all the tests taken now, we are sitting right at about 14%. Where back in the day when everything was good and we were, at 110 cases a day, we were right around 4%. So I know yesterday there were about 6,000 people tested. The day before there was 4,000, but still that percent positive was still around 14%.
Yeah.
But at this rate, I can't imagine kids going back to school.
How do they take care of newsrooms? Because newsrooms were on top of each other.
So we have been, we've had 3 or 4 people in the newsroom for the last 3 months.
So they sanitize it with stuff? I mean, like not Lysol, but there's the companies that come in.
The only people in the newsroom right now are me and Tessa, and then one reporter, and then Bill Burr, who does the Fox stuff. And those are the only people in there. And then we have 3 production people. Wow. We have an audio person, we have a director, and then we have 1 person on the floor. So, we've kept that to a minimum. There have been some days where producers had to come in and produce because their internet crashes at home.
Right.
But everybody's been working from home. But I know that the last thing I saw this week on this Accelerate Ed website, they had this 3-phase plan. One is if the numbers remain low, everybody goes back to school. If the numbers stay medium, it'll be like an A-B day, right? So G would go to school Monday, Wednesday, Friday this week, and then Tuesday, Thursday next week.
Right.
And then if the numbers remain high, then everybody stays at home again.
Ugh.
And they didn't say what's low, what's medium, what's high, but I got to think right now we're high. And if parents would have thought about, hey, if you let your children go out, or if you go out and you're not wearing a face mask, and if you're not social distancing, then you get to keep your kid home from school until December. Right. And I don't think anybody thought of it like that, because I think that's where we're headed.
Well, I was reading, how they were worried because there weren't enough face masks in the beginning. So then they said, it's okay. And then now it's back. And I think that's where it confuses, not me, but other people, because everything is different every 5 minutes.
I think it's pretty clear.
I wear a face mask. I mean, when we go to the store.
There you go.
I will say this, though. When the reporters, though, do
$20.
You can't even, the reporters, I can't hear what they're saying. because you can't hear.
I understand, but I don't care because I want my reporter to be safe.
That
now, I
makes
will
sense.
tell you this, and you go back, because this is the thing that jumped out at me during the primary. We had reporters at 3 or 4 different primary spots.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact, and I'm not going to call anybody out, but there was a watch party on Shum Creek at a very popular restaurant, and there wasn't one person in that crowd who had a face mask on.
Mm-hmm.
And that was 2 Tuesdays ago.
Wow.
Let me see put your face mask on. Let me see this.
All it is, it's like one of those things fishermen
like
wear,
a hook
and
thing.
so you just,
yeah,
I got it at Shades of Mount Pleasant, Shades Sullivan Island. Buy local, and it's $20. About when everybody in the family, and you just pull it up around your face. It's like a piece of cake.
Can you breathe better? Because I know sometimes those masks. I have a lot of friends that wear.
Damn alive.
Yeah. Oh, stop.
But
the ears, the problem with the mask of the ears, a lot of people.
Whatever, go over it.
I'm not saying me. Gosh, you are so kind.
But as for sports, Darren, I can't imagine football going on. I can't. I mean, there were 13 players at the University of Texas that tested positive the other day.
Yeah, just saw that.
And they were on campus for like a week.
And the guys at Houston, they didn't test them when they came back to campus, and then had 6 symptomatic guys who had practiced with the rest of the team, and they shut down their workouts. There was an article, and I reference her work all the time because
Heather did it.
Yeah, because she's very, very good, and she's one of the lead college football writers for ESPN. And she had an article out on Wednesday, I believe, because that's when the NCAA approved this 6-week plan to get back. And buried in that article, it said, even though the public perception is what it is, and even though there is a lot of positivity going on, and you're hearing from ADs and coaches about here's our plan for 50% capacity, and here's our plan for 100% capacity, and even though you're hearing those things behind the scenes, the discussions are very much still going on about, what if? And the tone has just changed. The reporting has just changed because there's so much positivity out there. But look, I'm with you. We earlier this week, I felt bad because one of the shows I thought we were overly pessimistic because it was like an hour of me and Jeff McCarriger was filling in that day, and it was just us saying like, I want sports back as much as if not more than everybody. We need sports back, but I don't know. I really don't know how we can have football back. Even with did you see what Watch Stadium had yesterday or 2 days ago? That Chicago Bears like NASCAR football helmet thing?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that is the answer, but.
Well, and then they've also saying now, I mean, some reports saying that when you flush the toilet, sometimes it could come up through the water
it's like one of the most germ-ridden things ever.
Right. So what? Then no one can.
It's best to flush. It's best to flush and get a few little sprinkles on your hiney.
No, I was going to say or that
shut the toilet.
Put the toilet down and then flush.
So
then flush.
You never know what you're going to get on JB and Goldwater. I mean, if you want toilet flushing advice, we are here.
Everybody
for
poops,
you.
Darren. Everybody poops. That's this book.
The difference is some people poops don't smell.
Like yours.
To them.
Oh, great.
No, mine smells.
So how do you?
I'm just seeing
think
right now that Apple's closing a bunch of stores.
Is ours one of them?
And it says one in South. I don't know. It's not saying. It says one in South Carolina. So I don't know. But I just I don't know. I think people need to figure this out, and I don't think for a second the governor's going to mandate masks.
No,
it's happening in a lot of places, like in Arizona, the governor won't mandate masks, even though they're just individual towns are mandating it. So
and individual businesses and towns, like you said. But
listen, you guys are more in tune to this than I am.
No,
but how many restaurants do you know off the top of your head who have had to close recently because of?
I've only seen them on Twitter.
Because somebody's tested positive.
Only seen it on Twitter, certain people, certain places, and none of them really closed. They closed to disinfect.
Yeah, I mean, I know 4 or 5, gyms. I know a gym that's had to close down.
That's a place I won't. I just can't rationalize having to walk back into that.
And that's why they're all going bankrupt. And that's another thing. Justine's Kitchen closed yesterday, and in my opinion, that is going to be just the beginning. There are a lot of people that are going to close, in my opinion, and it's sad. But we were overpopulated with hotels and restaurants and things like that. And you can't, when you're not getting paid and you're not working, it's hard. And I think a lot of people need to take that into consideration. We're not getting paid, and we're not getting paid. You can't pay bills. You can't do this. You can't do that.
I'll say this, Dean. So Jeff McCarriger, who you know well, he's been traveling a lot because he's been doing all the corn stuff. And he compares what's going on in other states to what's going on here, and it's night and day. So he up in Pennsylvania, you can't go into a restaurant without wearing a mask. If you don't have one, they'll give you one. You can't go in. You can't take that off until you're seated at your table. If you are going to get up from your table, you better put that thing back on. Otherwise, you can't get up from your table. No moving around the restaurants, nothing like that. Same story with certain airports around the country. And then you contrast that with what we see down here, what you see in pictures on American Airlines, where an American just tried to put a policy in place where you have to wear a mask, and already they had someone refuse.
Yeah, I saw that idiot.
But that's American. And, it's a matter of certain places taking this more seriously than others, and I agree with what you said before. The percentage positive
froze on me.
Yeah, the percentage positive was just. I said that to Ryan last night. I was like, oh my god, like 14% of these people are positive. That's a huge number. But,
right, and that's where the numbers are. If you look at Florida, if you look at Arizona, that's right about where they are too. Anywhere from 14 to 18%.
Goodness.
But what is their what's their population difference in South Carolina to Florida?
Well, the point is that the people getting tested.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there's. I mean, I'm asking that question.
The question is, I think the better question is, how many are they testing?
That's right. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So I don't know those numbers. I know that there was a woman down working for the government, working for the state that was doing all their COVID numbers, and they fired her because they didn't want to put all the numbers out. Mm-hmm. And so now she started her own website.
Yeah, did you see that? And she shows the little hot spots and the little red dots on Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So anyway, as for not having sports, I would have never thought in my entire life, Darren, and I know you feel the same way, that I would have ever gone 3 months without sitting down watching a sporting event.
Yeah, right.
Right. I mean, there were times where I drive around thinking, I feel so much freedom right now because I don't feel like I have to rush home and catch the 3:30 Gamecock game.
Yeah, right.
Right.
It's crossed my mind, but then my mind quickly shifts back to, well, I'd take that back though.
But then he turns on. I love when he turns on the old games like ESPN. Not even classic. It's probably 1990 something. But the graphics look so archaic. The graphics are SD and they just look terrible. And I'm like, ooh, I was alive then.
If there are graphics, if they're even up there. But
wait. So we only have 8 minutes left, Dean. And I think I think you're a wonderful storyteller.
Thank you.
And not a tattler or snitch, as we were talking earlier. Just kidding. Can you tell me something good that's been going on around here?
Who was tattling?
No,
That's a snitch thing.
I brought up the NBA snitch line.
Anonymous line to a snitch on.
So part of they put out this 113-page.
Oh, yes. I saw that.
So part of it is that they will set up an anonymous tip line for players and other personnel down there in Orlando. If you see somebody violating the COVID rules, you can call and rat them out, I guess. Well, or
love that.
So they dubbed it an anonymous tip line, and quickly the internet took over, and it's the snitch line.
Snitches get stitches, man.
So that's what I asked Ryan if there was a snitch line, what she would use it for, and her answer was the HOA, like to complain about them, and I fully support that.
That's all they do is complain.
But
so Dean, tell me. I mean, you're a great storyteller.
What?
So going through what you've seen over these since March, at least, what are some of the positive stories you've seen lately?
Froze up, but you'll unfreeze. I know you'll unfreeze.
It might be your bad internet.
Yeah, you look good to me.
You look fine to me.
Not me. All right, so what's the question? I'm a great storyteller.
You're a great storyteller. Can you tell me something positive, some of the positive things happening around here?
Oh,
God, look at that face.
I could tell you positive things that I've come across.
Yeah, that's what I want. Yeah.
So I covered, I was downtown during the riots. And during the 5 or 6 hours I was there, I ran across and met 2 or 3 just really amazing guys. and learned so much from them in a short period of time. A couple of days before the riots, I sat down with Reverend Anthony Thompson, whose wife Myra died in the Mother Emanuel shooting. She was leading Bible study that night. And for some reason, I just always had been drawn to him, never met him in passing once or twice through the years, but always just wanted to sit down and talk to him. So I was able to get a hold of him, and I called him and I said, I need to talk to you just man to man, person to person. And I got some things I need to get off my chest and got some things in my heart I need to share with you. And so I went over to his house when I spent 3 hours with him. And I told him, I said, I've got this person in my life I've got to forgive, and I can't, and it's killing me. And I said, I really need to know, did you really forgive the guy who shot and killed your wife?
That's a huge question. That's why, like we've talked about forgiveness with Chris Singleton. How do you put that forgiveness in your heart?
So he shared with me, and it was, I'm telling you, and
what did he say?
I told him this a couple times. It's a biblical forgiveness. It's a different kind of forgiveness. And it basically is, Jesus has forgiven me for my sins, and I need to forgive him for his. And it's as simple as that. And that's, now again, there are families who have not and will not, and that's fine. But for Reverend Thompson and for Chris, I think as well, it's that biblical forgiveness. He gave me his book. I've read it. It's titled "Called to Forgive," and it changed me. Absolutely did. And then putting the special together we did the other night was one of those moments where, our station's never put out anything like that in the 30 years that I've worked there. And then the other thing was too. I have plenty of black friends, and I've helped plenty of people extend their career to other markets, white and black. But when I talked to Everett after you texted me, right? I talked to him after he did your show. We talked for a long time. Great. I talked to 3 or 4 other guys that I'm super tight with and had great conversations. And what I learned from the night of the riots was that for us to evolve and for things to change, I need to listen, right? I need to listen, and I need to understand, because as much as I could say, oh, I listen and I understand, there's nothing further than the truth of listening and understanding. Yep. So, so from that point on, I have watched, I don't know if you've seen Just Mercy. With Michael
I love that movie.
Jordan.
Oh, it was great. Like on Netflix, they released it early, and oh my God, I could watch it 10 more times.
Haven't heard of it.
Correct.
And
the crazy part about it, it didn't happen in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. It happened in the mid 80s.
Yep.
Right. And then I watched the Ken Burns documentary called The Central Park 5.
Yeah.
Right. Watch it, figure it out, understand it. And then I watched the documentary called 13, which was mind blowing. And again, I learned things more than I have in the 100 years of schooling, right? And I never got it, but now I get it.
Yep.
And so my next step is I wanted to get through that special, but I think next week I'm going to put together, I've got a list of guys, one in his 20s, one in his 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, and sit down and have a Zoom meeting. All of them are black, because I think that's the key, is that there's got to be a white person asking the questions.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree with that.
But also not just asking the questions, but listening.
Correct.
I believe sometimes people don't listen at what we were talking about earlier.
Most people don't listen.
Yeah.
So I can't change the way my neighbor thinks. I can't change the way you guys think. The only influence I have are with the little people that live in my house. Right. And so as long as I'm able to educate them and help them become better people, then that's the only job I got, and for myself and for Caroline. But so I find that to be good news, right?
I think
because
that's good news.
I think there can be change. And in listening to Reverend Thompson, he shared stories about people who apologized to him, white people, for being a racist, and that his story changed their heart. Wow. Right. So I know it can happen. I know there's others who won't even probably go there, and that's fine. That's their choice, right? It's all about choice.
Man, I hate to cut you off, but I'm
I
glad
told him
that
we could talk the whole time.
But no, I'm glad that
that's
we
what
ended
I wanted
with that.
to hear.
Yeah.
Like positivity. You know, we talk about negative stuff so much lately that it's nice to be positive sometimes, or hear these stories for change.
Yeah, I'm glad we ended with that. So,
congrats on all this, Darren. I think it's awesome, dude.
Hey, thanks, man. Just
keep grinding.
Yeah, that's all you can do, right?
That's all you can do.
All right, man. Good seeing you. Good hearing you, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks for having me, honey.
See you, Heather.
Bye, honey.
Dean Stevens, main anchor, ABC News 4. We appreciate that. That's it for JB and Goldwater. Jamie will be back on Monday for another full week of JB and Goldwater, live, loud, online, noon till 2. If you missed any of this, it'll be available archived, podcasted, everywhere. Thanks,
Did you
honey.
have fun?
Of course I did. Mm-hmm. For the lovely and talented Ryan Nelson, for Bob Moran, Rafael Esparza,
Dean Stevens.
I think I covered them all. Darren Goldwater. So long. Enjoy the weekend. Be good, please. And we'll talk to you next week.